Guys, welcome back to the Final Whistle podcast. And I've got what I think, because I'm fangirling a little bit, the best guest that we're going to have on this season, I think. We've had some very cool people so far. So, this is David Lucero, and he was the Green Bay Packers 2024 Fan of the Year. So, David, I met you briefly at the draft in Green Bay, but thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Um, the first question I kind of wanted to ask you was the fan of the year stuff. Being a Packers fan, I saw your a lot of the press conferences that you did and the interviews that you did about being the Packers fan of the year. But how was it? Because the experience looked unbelievable to have such an honor. Yeah,
Yeah, it's such an incredible thing, a humbling thing, right? To be
yeah,
chosen as to represent the fans. Um, from one event to the next, it was just very overwhelming in a positive way. Hanging out with fans, like-minded fans, supporting their team. It was just a unique experience,
yeah.
once in a lifetime experience, and I'm just honored to be able to have done that. But just an amazing time, good food, good company, obviously a lot of football talk.
Yeah.
And then obviously everything is NFL driven, so we got to go a lot of events and hang out and just have a good time. Game obviously did not turn out as well as I thought it was, although the two teams are good. I just thought it was going to be a little bit closer, but the
Yeah.
experience unmatched, definitely unmatched. Really, really good time.
To get to a Super Bowl as well is insane, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. You know what? After going through that experience, I would be very, very nervous to, if Packers get back to the Super Bowl about going,
Yeah.
just because I was obviously not a fan of either team, but the atmosphere, the energy, it was kind of nerve-wracking, in the sense that I was just, so excited for the experience. But, if when the Packers get back, it's going to be really tough to, number one, not go, but
Yeah.
number two, sit in the stands and just with that anticipation,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
One
Yeah.
thing that because we met briefly at the
Yeah.
draft in Green Bay with my partner Lauren, and one thing that we share, you and I together, is that we're big fans of the Green Bay Packers, but neither of us grew up in Green Bay because you're from Los Angeles. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. I'm from the LA area. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. So what for me, I was out with my friends last night, and the NFL's kind of growing in England. It's getting
Mhm.
there, and I was trying to explain to them why the Packers and why there is this love for the Packers that I just means the world to me. But why you? What? Why the Green Bay Packers for you? How could you sell it to people? Why do you
Y-
support them?
yeah, like a lot of fans from California, because we're represent the Packers strong in California. But
Yeah,
for us, for me in particular, I grew up as a fan of the Raiders, a
yeah,
fan of local sports. I'm a big, Dodgers fan, Lakers fan, all the hometown sports. But when the when the Rams and the Raiders left in the summer, I believe it was 93, 94, they left, one team respectively went back to Oakland and the other team
yeah,
went to St. Louis. It kind of left me, especially, I was a young kid, but a younger person, growing up, I just didn't understand how they could just pick up and leave the fan base, and leave the city. So when being a fan of the Raiders, when they left, didn't necessarily I didn't want to follow. I didn't. It just kind of had me jaded, and I tuned in for football every Sunday moving forward, and had no particular team in mind. But at that time, it was the mid '90s. Brett Favre was on a hot streak, just winning MVP after MVP. Reggie White was just dominating the defense, and so I found myself tuning into the games when the Packers play, and just kind of got behind that. Okay, the Packers are on, and after they were successful and they were winning, and then I found out they were the smallest, small city,
yeah, yeah,
community owned. I just was hooked, and every Sunday after that, just tuned in, and my fandom grew bigger as I did more research on the team, and so much to the point where I said I got to get out there and see a live game before Brett Favre retires,
yeah.
and was able to get to a game and in the 2004, I believe, and as a result, I fell in love with Wisconsin and fell in love with the football fandom there in Green Bay that I had to move there, and that's kind of my story. Just tuning in and
Yeah.
just falling in love with them. It was hooked.
That's one thing, because I remember you telling us that when we were talking to you in the draft house, and as we were walking back to the hotel, my partner Lauren was like, "Don't get any ideas, because I am not doing Green Bay. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it."
Yeah, it's as I get older, I think back and I'm so happy that I made the move and it was life
Yeah,
changing and and kind of like life, right? You just got to take chances and do what makes you happy. And I did it. And I've met so many people. Obviously, now I'm a season ticket holder,
yeah, yeah.
shareholder, go to every home game. I met a lot of amazing people like yourself and Lauren. And just I'm happy that I did it because, just got to put yourself out there and do what makes you happy.
Yeah. We the first time we ever went to Green Bay, it was just after COVID, and me and Lauren had been together for about 6 months, and I was like, "Look, we're out of COVID. My dream is to go to this little place called Green Bay, Wisconsin. Do you want to come with
Uh-huh.
me?" And she came out, and it was in Rogers last season, and we played the Cowboys, and we won in overtime with a field goal. And even she said, because she had no idea about the NFL, she didn't even know the Green Bay Packers were, that it existed. And she kind of left that trip saying, it just feels special, this place.
Yeah.
And we've been to LA, we've been to Vegas, we've been to those really big popularized American places, but there's nowhere like Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Right. 100%. Just everything about it's football, right?
Yeah,
Weather,
yeah.
people, just blue collar town, great people. Yeah, absolutely nothing like it.
Yeah, I think there is a generation of NFL fans, especially Packers fans in particular, that owe it to Brett Favre. Because I'm the same. I went on
Yeah.
holiday to Disney World with my family. So we were out in Florida. My dad was like, pick a jersey. And it just so happened I picked up Favre. And they were playing that night. And we sat up and watched it. And it was from then just being hooked because of one person,
hmm
but never
Yeah,
got to play, which was a shame.
he definitely made the game fun, and after MVP season after MVP season, he just elevated. I mean, obviously there's a lot of great players around him, but he elevated the Packers, brought them back to relevance.
Yeah, yeah.
You could think a lot of people, Ron Wolf, Reggie White making the choice to come back, but he made the game fun for me watching him play. And of course, he just had an unbelievable arm and made all the throws. And yeah, he definitely was the reason I became a fan of the Packers as well.
Speaking about talking about relevance and obviously current day Packers, we had Emerson Lehman, who's a news anchor for WBay TV. He came on as a guest a couple of weeks ago because I met
Mhm.
him out in Green Bay and was like, "Come on and let's talk." And we got very, very carried away. We were like, "The Packers are going to go unbeaten in September. Is this going to be a trip to the Super Bowl? And it's all going to happen." Couple of weeks later, that is, and we spoke briefly before we started recording. The game against the Browns wasn't the best. The game against the Cowboys, we played well, but it wasn't ideal. What do you think now? Because kind of the hype around getting Parsons, it felt that every single sort of sports anchor had us as a Super Bowl favorite, but do you think we can get there? Do you think it's still there, or do you think it is going to be a teething season to then push next season?
Sure. No, I think, the Packers are kind of feeling themselves after being 2-0 and the media was crowning them the
Yeah,
Super Bowl darlings. I mean, who doesn't want to get behind the Packers? It's a great story. But I think being 2-0, we're definitely on the radar.
yeah,
You're going to get every team's best shot now. Not that it's the NFL, you're always going to get the best shot, but I think they underestimated the Browns, which the Browns have a tough defense, right? But then they give up, a tremendous amount of points the next week. Dallas, take nothing away from Dallas, right? It was down 14-0, and I think at one point I said to my wife, "Man, this game might this game might be a blowout," and
yeah,
then ends in tie. So I don't know. When it comes to sports, it's interesting, right? With social media, everybody's got a voice, and everybody's
yeah,
so much smarter than the next person. But
yeah,
in sports, it's athletes against athletes, right? And the Dallas Cowboys. Shout out to Kenny Clark, my guy. I miss that
yeah,
guy. Um, the Dallas Cowboys, they played with heart and they played with passion, and the Packers did as well. But I don't feel like on defense they got the stops that they did in the first two games, and maybe it was the opponents in the first 2 weeks. Those are two top NFL teams, two playoff teams. And then they maybe underestimated the Browns, underestimated the Cowboys. But it's a lot of football left, and I think you get after the quarterback and you stop the run, and obviously we got some healthy offensive linemen coming back and wide receivers. I think they're still a Super Bowl team. I just think they just played 2 bad weeks, and the bye came at a perfect time for them to get healthy. But I think you're going to see a different, energized Packer team, a healthy team, and we're going to get back in the win column. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I think it goes to show how difficult it is to actually
Mm,
go unbeaten in the NFL. Because that
absolutely.
Cowboys game, being one of the negatives about being a UK based fan is it started at 1 a.m. Monday morning. So it's hard. It's really hard. And I
Yeah.
kind of started that game off thinking, yeah, this is going to be a blowout. And then towards the end, it's like, I stayed up for 4 hours to watch this.
Yeah, I actually felt pretty happy that it ended in a tie as opposed to a loss. Clock management was bad. I don't necessarily, I'm not a believer in the play calling was bad because we're not professionals. I work at Costco and I'm a professional doing that. I don't pretend
Yeah,
to know how to call plays, right? But I just felt like clock management was not good. And
yeah,
so I thought we were pretty fortunate to come out with a tie as opposed to a loss. And at the end of the day, it's not a loss, right? So glass half full for me. And that could come back to hurt us in the end or help us. So I just a
yeah.
lot of football left. Play Packer football. Play complementary football. Get after the quarterback, and I think we're going to be fine.
I agree. This weekend it's special in the UK because over the month of October we have our international series of games. So the only negative to this, and I kind of said this to Roger Goodell and he laughed about it, we just get awful teams. The teams that we get here are disgraceful. We've got
Yeah,
the Browns and the Vikings today, and if you're a Browns and the Vikings fan, enjoy,
yeah.
but as kind of a neutral NFL fan that goes to watch them, we just we get hit badly. But you went to the game in Brazil last season. For what was that like? Because I think we're we're very lucky that we're getting so much football
Mhm.
in the UK in particular. And one thing that Roger Goodell's spoken about a lot is that they're wanting to expand the sport, they're wanting to branch out internationally. And that was the first ever game in Brazil. So what was that like?
Well, to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you, I couldn't give you an honest assessment because I don't know if it was the game atmosphere or if it just was Brazil. My takeaway from Brazil is this beautiful country.
Yeah, yeah,
There was a lot of negative going into it about it being dangerous and
yeah,
things of that nature, but I absolutely loved it. The experience, kind of like the Super Bowl, people were energized, they were excited to have football. Difference being not being where you're at, but language barrier. But the passion with the fans, I think, made up for that. The stadium, obviously you heard a lot of negative things about the field, and I didn't see that as a fan in the stands, but
yeah,
obviously a lot of backlash about that. But I think the experience, uh, growing football to the international crowds and that sort of thing is definitely a step in the right direction. But just an overall amazing experience, great people, excellent food. If you ever get a chance to get out to Brazil,
yeah, yeah.
it's pretty life changing. Super excited to have done that for sure.
Do you think one thing I spoke to Emerson about quite a lot, actually, we went on a bit of a tangent talking about it, is there's nothing like seeing a game in America. The
Mm.
UK games are good, and it's for maybe fans that can't get to America and they can't sort of bridge that gap. They are a really good experience, but they don't compete. They're nothing. There's nothing like being sat in an American stadium, hearing the American national anthem. You'll have to fly over, and it's that whole experience. But do you think it is feasible to have a team in London? Because that is the one thing that kind of today, Roger Goodell said it in a press conference over the weekend. It's always spoken about that they would have a team here and are actively looking at it. But from an American's perspective, because our soccer, I would hate a team in America. I wouldn't like at all, which is so contradictive of me, sat here in a Packers hat. Like, yeah, international fan of the year. It's so contradictive. But yeah, what do you think about it? Do you think it is feasible, and would you like it?
I think so. I think the game has evolved a lot and it continues to evolve. And as fans of the game of the sport,
Yeah,
you want to get the competition out there. You truly want to see the best in the world. And do you recall the feeling that you got the first time you walked down the steps to get to your seat when you went to Lambeau?
I cried. I was
Right.
crying my eyes out.
It never changes. It never gets old. It's just this feeling of excitement and the beauty and the spectacle. But what you, I think, if you're that passionate about a fan, and especially, where you're from and where you're at right now, I think that's the sport's going to grow, and there's going to be plenty of people that will feel that way, regardless of where the stadium is located. It's the sport. Kind of like you touched on soccer, and I grew up playing soccer, a big soccer fan, and it's really not the same for me as it is for you. Actually, around the world, soccer is the
Yeah,
biggest sport. Um, but I think over time it can be that way, and it can be, like I said, the spectacle and the energy and the enthusiasm and the spirit, and more importantly, the fandom. I think that's one thing. It doesn't. You don't have to be in a certain country to experience pro football. You just got to love the game and you got to love the competition. So yeah, I would be happy. I would love to travel all over the world to see football. We're doing it now, so I think it would do well if it came to the UK.
yeah. I'm on the fence with it a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Again, is very contradictory because I I love the American culture that surrounds football.
Yeah.
And when, because Lauren came to Green Bay with me, the tailgating, the whole welcome vibe of Green Bay, that I wouldn't want to taint it a little bit and be like, no, I want to come and see you, not you come and see me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. There's a lot, you experience tailgating at its finest, and I know I'm probably biased, but
Yeah.
the tailgating in different parts of the country is not the same.
Yeah.
So I think, if it was to get to the UK and they were able to get a team, it's just going to be a different vibe, right? You're going to have your own style, you're going to have your own pregame rituals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but all across the country, it is not the same. So I think that's the uniqueness, right? And the opportunities that would go into that. But the game, the sport itself, I think is exciting. And as it grows, I think more people, especially all over the world, are growing and gravitating to that. Maybe not in the soccer like, maybe not as passionate about it, but I think it has the opportunity to grow and build and get more competitive all over the world.
Do you have a soccer team that you support?
Well, you know what? That's funny. I hate to say this because, in Southern California, it's so competitive, but I'm an LA Galaxy fan because
Oh,
when
really?
it first started, they were the first team in LA, and now we have LAFC and the Galaxy, won the MLS Cup last year and not very good this year, but the LA Galaxy is a team that I've been following since inception, back 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. I'll never forget because I'm a big Manchester United fan. The day that David Beckham signed for LA Galaxy, and
Yeah.
it was for UK fans who are like they play soccer in America. I had
Uh,
no idea. But
yeah.
do you
That's
have an
such.
English team that you follow?
I do not. I don't follow. I can barely follow the Packers, and I'm obviously a big Dodgers fan. I'm being Southern California native, and
Yeah,
baseball's going on right now, and so between the two sports, this is an exciting time of year for me. Last year, I was, a Packer game, and then I flew cross country and went to Dodgers playing in the World Series. So it's a lot to go on. And between all that, I have a very busy job that takes a lot of my time. So I don't have the time or you're a special one if you're staying up till 4 in the morning to watch football. I don't know if I could honor that kind of commitment.
I have to pick the games wisely because of
Uh-huh.
working and we're about to have a family and family commitment and stuff like that. I say that to Lauren. If there's a game that I'm a bit like the Browns game, we were very lucky.
Uh-huh.
That started at 6 p.m. here. But if that was a 1 a.m. game, I'd be like, nah,
Uh,
I'm good. I'm expecting a win, so I'll watch it when I wake up.
right. And then you wake up and you're like, wow, what happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's because one thing that I loved reading about you when I was doing a little bit of research about you
Uh,
is that do you live in Kentucky now?
I do. I do live in
Yeah, yeah.
Kentucky. My job took me here. So I'm on Eastern Standard Time, but Kentucky's beautiful. I love the weather. A little different weather from Wisconsin, so
Yeah.
it's been an adjustment.
One thing I loved reading about you that you drive to every single home game, you and
Yeah,
your wife kind of will make that trip. And I'm very jealous. And I'm like, that is insane that you get to do that. So,
yeah.
for somebody that's seen so many games at Lambeau, what is that one moment that sticks out for you? Because I remember when I was at university, it was 2011 and the Packers won the Super Bowl. And I remember kind of watching that game and thinking, I'm not there, but this is a core football memory for me that I'll never ever forget. So yeah, what's that one moment that sticks out for you, do you think?
That's a tough question. I have a number of moments that stick out. My wife and I were talking about this the other day, and I was telling her about the time I was at Soldier Field, and the Packers had it was fourth down, and Rodgers threw the ball to Cobb to win the game in the final seconds, and that was exciting to me because in Soldier Field you could literally hear a pin drop, and it felt like the ball was in the air forever until he caught it. I've been to many games and they've all kind of had their own um, core point where I remember, but the one I would remember about Lambeau and being there in the stands, and it was recent, so it's not like it's a old story, but when Rodgers went down with the injury against the Bears and him coming back onto the field and I'm just thinking, oh, is he gonna aggravate this injury and make it worse? And just watching the Packers storm back in the fourth quarter to not only beat the Bears, but to shut the Bears fans that were being loud and obnoxious in the stands. It was just something that will forever stick with me. Like Rodgers is really coming back,
Yeah,
to come back in that manner, just to me, that's my favorite core memory of
yeah.
Lambeau being there for that.
When you asked me about my experience of Lambo,
Yeah.
nothing like it, is there? Because I've got a group of friends in the UK and we're all fans of different teams. And I always say to them, one of them's a big Bears fan. Like, even though
Mm.
you hate the Packers, you've got to go. You've just got to experience that feeling of being stood in Lambeau Field. It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, I just the rivalry and the closeness of the two, football clubs. You're 3 hours away from being Soldier Field into Wisconsin into Lambeau, and it's so close. And the people, it's so funny because people from Chicago talk so much negatively about Packer fans and Wisconsin in general. But what do you think they are every weekend heading up to their up north to visit and get into God's country, so to speak, out there? But there's such a tremendous rivalry, and I'm glad to be a part of it. In fact, one year with my job, I worked in Chicago, and I knew I was only going to be there for a year, so I was very quiet, off the radar. And someone found out I was a Packers fan, so every employee for that one year solid let me have it, and they riddled me, they talked trash, they gave me such a hard time. So uh, I, have a special pit in my stomach
Yeah.
that makes me nauseous when I think of Chicago and the fans there. So yeah,
When we went to the draft in Green Bay, because it's so tricky to get to from the UK, we had to fly Manchester to Ireland, Ireland, Chicago, Chicago, Green Bay. So we stayed in Chicago for a little bit and we were kind of looking at the weather. Like, it'll be cool, we'll get there. And then when we got there, it rained every single day. And the only jacket I had was a Packers jacket. And
yeah.
I had people shouting stuff at me in the street where Lauren was like, "We need to just go and buy a different jacket. You're not wearing it anymore." So the
Mm.
rivalry is huge, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's tremendous. It's funny. I was watching a clip the other day. When the Cowboys, lost to the Bears. The Bears figured out a way to beat them, and we couldn't. But I just thought it was interesting. There was a highlight of the game afterwards, and that's how much we live in Bears fans' heads when they were shouting that the Packers suck. When even, the game wasn't even about the Packers and Bears at that point. So yeah, it's definitely the rivalry, and it's unmatched. I think it's really unmatched when it comes to the fans.
In talking about this how special Lambeau is, sorry, what's another stadium that you would say kind of? is a neutral for a neutral fan from UK Europe that you have got to see a football game in? What's that one place do you think?
Well, each stadium has its own unique experiences, but for fun, for enjoyment of the game, not necessarily the stadium and the amenities, because I think SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles and Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas are just top tier in terms of their
Yeah.
amenities. But the best atmosphere that I've experienced in terms of enjoying the game and the atmosphere has been in New Orleans.
Ooh,
New Orleans uh, it's just the atmosphere, like I said, it was great food, great people, but
yeah,
just the energy. And they use old school trombones and trumpets. And, I went to a Sunday night game a number of years ago, and the Packers and Saints were on a shootout, and the Saints ended up coming out on top. But every time they scored, the band would come out and there would be
yeah.
dancing in the stands. And it felt like that band was playing all night long because they kept scoring and the Packers couldn't stop them. But what an amazing atmosphere,
Yeah.
great people, and just the energy. And if I wasn't a Packers fan, my next choice would have been Saints, just on the experience alone, just top notch for me.
I'd love to get to Buffalo. That's kind
Buffalo,
of on my list to go and see Josh Allen in particular, but to
mm,
experience a game there, I think would be
right.
incredible.
Yeah, definitely, especially with their new stadium coming. But
Yeah,
yeah, maybe getting out there before and seeing the old stadium and how they do things would be an experience as well. So you
yeah,
should definitely do that.
yeah. That's on the it's high on the list once we've
Yeah.
got there. Yeah. Um, we kind of touched on it briefly before about how everybody is kind of looking at the Packers and being this potential Super Bowl favorite. And how long do you think we are in that window for? Because in talking about the Bills have kind of been touted of, it's their year, and it's been like that for a couple of years. How long do you think we are in this window for? Do you think?
To be honest with you, I think the window's just opening.
Yeah,
We had a lot of years with Rodgers where we felt like, gosh, it's there for the taking, the free agent signings, um, the big pickups. This is going to be the person that puts us over the hump. But I think, being the youngest team in the NFL with such a tremendous upside, Packer fans should be excited. I think there's a good solid window that's just starting. Most of the key players are in their mid 20s, and opportunity for multiple championships, but starts with one, right? And I just feel like the window is just now opening. So a lot of positive things to look forward to
yeah.
for the Packers. Yeah.
And we've done this with every single person that's been on the show. If we get, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit because we've had some awful names, so please don't feel under pressure. Goodell announces we're getting a team in London. As part of your prize as being the Packers fan of the year, you get to name it. What are you calling that NFL team?
Hmm. Where's the team going to be based?
London.
London. Ooh.
We've
When I
really had some awful ones as well.
really
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ah see, when I think of London, I think of double-decker buses
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Yukon Jacks. Um, I think of fish and chips. I
yeah.
think I think of beer. I think of 80s style band and fashion.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think let's think about that for a second. I think some bands that have come out of the UK. Hmm. The London. Um, oh, I could think of one. The London Werewolves.
I like that.
Okay, I'll tell you why. One of the first movies I saw as a kid that I was afraid of was American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
And do you know of that movie?
Yeah,
I'm
I've seen
probably
it. Yeah,
showing my
yeah,
age here.
yeah.
So I was definitely afraid of that movie and the human that changed into the werewolf. So I think that could be kind of intimidating. So
I
werewolves, I'm gonna
like
go with
it.
London werewolves. Yeah.
Everyone's been playing into the whole royal family aspects.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
could
we've
see
had
that. The
the
Royals.
London buses, the London Monarchs, the London Bulldogs, and stuff like that. But Werewolves is winning. I quite like that.
That sounds, yeah, far more intimidating than
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a royal name for sure.
Just to round up, so we're in October, we're in the bye week. The next game is on the 12th. We're playing the Bengals. So, quick fire, Packers Bengals. Who are you taking to win?
Uh, Again, not taking them lightly, but being in Kentucky, where I'm located in Lexington,
Yeah.
it's about an hour 10 away from Cincinnati. And so I hear the pulse of the fans with the Bengals. They've already given up.
Yeah.
Uh, in fact, they've jokingly have said, "Hey, do you play offensive line?" Because that's how bad it is. I said I could probably give them two good snaps, and then I'm
Yeah.
tired and done for the day. So I think that's a very winnable game, and I think they will. And of course, then they go on the road, which is a game I'll be at in Arizona. I
Yeah.
think that's a winnable game as well. And so that was kind of the mindset for me. I was thinking they were going to go into the bye week 4-0, and
Yeah.
then two winnable games afterward before the schedule really gets tough. But even so, before the tough games start to come, I think they're going to be in a position to win, rattle off a couple wins here and get right. So looking forward to that.
And then that special matchup against the Steelers, who they looked really good in Ireland last week. So Packers, Steelers, who do you think's going to win? The return of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I still gotta believe that the Packers are gonna get after him. You know, when you talk about talent, and you take about arm talent and talk about the greatest of all time, I get it, right? It's you measure greatness in wins and losses, but I still, and I think a lot of people would agree, the most talented quarterback is definitely Aaron. He still puts the ball in the right spot. He's just not nearly as mobile. But I feel like this is a time to get after it, get after him. And as you know, he gets a little rattled and pissed off at his wide receiver. So I think I'm gonna take the Packers on that one as well.
So we could potentially October unbeaten.
hmm I
I
mean, you should have been September unbeaten, but yes, I definitely think we can do that. I think we will.
My last question for you is we have a section of the show called Your Deluded Opinion. Now, this is an opinion. If you were sat in the bar with your friends and you said this, they would think that you are an idiot for saying it. So when I had Emerson, he was fully bought into the idea that Russell Wilson would have an MVP season and the Giants would go to the playoffs. And he's been benched already. So that's how stupid that one was. But what's that one opinion that you think actually this could happen?
You know what? When it comes to football, I don't ever really give my opinion. I'm a fan
Yeah,
of the sport, and it is hard for me to share that because football and baseball things are things that I'm passionate about that I don't really share with others. I like to listen to the opinion of others.
yeah,
Some of the times I laugh internally.
yeah.
Other times is they're so far out that I have to speak up. One of the things I think I bought into early on, um, and it could still come to fruition, but I really thought early in the season Matthew Golden was going to establish himself as a game changer, get him the ball, kind of like, in the spirit of how Justin Jefferson elevated the Vikings. And now that's still an opportunity that presents itself, but I thought out the gate he was just going to be top dog in the NFL, and he was going to really blaze the trail and get the Packers receiving core in the right direction. So still, jury's still out on that, but I that was something that I believed in, and like I said, it could still maybe come to
Yeah.
fruition here in the coming weeks.
I'm with you on that. I think he was my number three pick in
hmm
fantasy, my fantasy team. And now I'm like, "Ugh, okay,
Ah,
let's hope he has a better second half of the season." But I think the the idea of him coming to the Packers and Mark Murphy saying, it's the first time in how many years we've
right.
got a wide receiver that he just needs time, doesn't he? He's a talented player. He's there, but he just needs time with the team, I think.
Yeah, I think especially too when you got such a talented group of wide receivers, and
Yeah,
obviously about to get better with Christian Watson coming back.
yeah, yeah,
It's a matter of getting him the ball and
yeah,
letting him do what he does and seeing what he can do. But that's a good problem to have that many talented wide receivers, right? And so if he's not getting the touches, that means somebody else is.
yeah,
Romeo Dobbs has been great, and but with all of the injuries, I think you're
yeah.
going to see the full complement of the offense come to fruition here in the next couple of weeks. So it's so exciting to be a part of that and check that out.
Dobbs is the one that kind of, because Lauren will sit watching it with me, and she's half
Uh,
watching, she's doing other
uh,
stuff. And she said that she was like, "Oh, he's good, isn't he?" I was like, "Yeah, he's Romeo Dobbs is pretty good." Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He's and when he gets the touches, he makes plays. So we just got to
yeah.
make sure we continue to go to him and allow him to do what he does as well.
Amazing. David, it's been wonderful to talk to you. And I should have said it at the start of the show. So you are the president of the SoCal Packer Backers. So
Yeah.
get on Instagram, give them a follow. They're a Packers group out in California, and you make so many trips a year, don't you, to all go to Lambeau together?
Yes, we do a trip to Lambeau every year. We also do trips on away games once a year. We do a big trip. So this year our trip is in Phoenix and or Glendale, Arizona. So yeah, definitely. And for you guys, good best of luck with your baby on the way. Once you get settled in and you guys are ready to do some traveling, as we talked about, you're more than welcome to come to Lambeau, and I'll take care of that for you. And then also, you need a travel buddy. You guys want to go anywhere in America, I can definitely be your tour guide and meet up with you guys and give you the full American experience. So that invitation's always open.
Thank you very much. I've said that to
Yeah,
Lauren that baby's coming at the perfect time, early November. So the late games, I'll do the night feeds. I'm happy. I can sit and watch the Packers, and then maybe next year we'll look at coming out. Yeah,
awesome.
definitely. Amazing. Well, thank you very much, David. It
Yeah,
was great to talk to you, and yeah, thank you very much.
yeah. Take care. Thank you. Best to Lauren.
Thank you.